it was really interesting when I was writing this latest book, Hope and Change for Humpty Dumpty. Some new research came out about who's most at risk. I added this since I handed out your notes. There's been a huge increase in people who fear a nervous breakdown the last 30 years. So 30 years ago they did research, 1969 or something like that, 79, I can't remember, said, have you ever thought you were going to have a mental breakdown, a nervous breakdown, kind of a non-psychological term for being overwhelmed. And at that point in time, about 20% of the people, 15, 20% of the people said yes. Now they asked them again 30 years later, and it almost doubled. The number of people who said almost doubled. And that's a huge issue. Then these researchers, they were from Bloomington, Indiana, University of Indiana, said, well, let's correlate what's happened. Well, one of the changes was they said single white female mothers with no education and no religious involvement are at the highest risk of any person in our society for a nervous breakdown. Now, single black females, single Hispanic females are also at risk, but many times those communities have other support systems that the white community doesn't have. Now, when they came out with their recommendations, so if you look at this and they said, this is the data, and I always look down at the bottom, well, what are they going to recommend to help folks? What would you think you'd want to recommend there? Well, maybe you ought to get them involved in religious activities and tell them to get married and so forth. Nah, none of that. Give more money to the government agencies in crisis to help them with crisis. Well, once you're in crisis, I'm a therapist and I have founded the largest lay counseling and training program in east of the Mississippi River in the Talea Center. And I've got the largest professional counseling center in this part of the world now, Lifeway Christian Counseling Center. But we can't do it. The people come in and they're in crisis. They've already fallen over the edge. And we can do some help to those people in crisis. But if you don't do prevention, if you don't help people out there at the front end and front load our work, build capacity in the churches and community groups, we're just leading more and more people like lemmings to the sea. Does that make sense to you, what I'm saying there? So when you look at where people go for help, 100% of all people in trouble go to family and friends. 100%. Many times. So if they go to their co-workers, they go to the people around them, their neighbors, etc. People in church, small group, their family. A lot of those people don't have much family and friends. Poor people have poor ways. They're isolated. So I remember when Shogun first got the idea to do servant evangelism. I was talking to him about it. One of the first things that came up with was free oil changes for single mothers. You remember that? Who needs this stuff? They don't have any resources for something as simple as an oil change. No money either. Or change light bulbs or rake their yard. Stuff like that. They don't have any of that. Now, it may be kind of hard for you to imagine. There's people who don't have even the resources to get an oil change. People don't. They need it. But if they go to a professional, 42% go to a pastor or clergy, priest, rabbi. 42%. Over twice as many who go to the next, which would be a physician. The third would be 8% go to a counselor. Tom Rainer did some research on here a while back on this, and they said, what do people need in order to go seek help at a church? Just being asked by a family or friend. Being asked. But you need to have something there. Don't bring them into your emergency room and not have anything for them. You got to have some help. That's why we're gathering you people here.